Well, San Francisco, because there's an element of crazy and it's big. When I was planning what I was going to do in the States, I had a look at the sort of engagement through different analytics on YouTube, on my website, to find out where are these people that are screaming into the void. You know, and I have emails from women saying, I can't talk to anybody about this. So we looked at where the sort of hotspots were, and San Francisco is one of them. I think the crowd will be bigger. I think more women will come out. I think we may get some trans rights activists, some violent men. I think a lot of them will save all their muster for Portland. We met at 12. There's a little bit of deliberation over tech.
Hello, hello.
At that point, I then started getting a bit, I don't know what it is, probably high adrenaline. So there's a bit of kind of franticness about everything to get it started.
Okay, can you hear that?
And then I feel very responsible for everybody else's time and safety. And then we just start.
Afternoon. We are here at the burlesque strip show for kids. Oh no, it's drag. It's drag. It's drag queen story, pumpkin carving time. Here in San Francisco, the aptly named er-Weiner is hosting a Weiner Fest of a drag show for kids. And weirdly, people are coming. People have actually brought their children. Down the street, I believe, is burlesque for babies. Adult sexuality mixing with kids is one of the main kind of components of this absolute wacko, crazy movement called transgenderism. It's weird that there's a state senator promoting adult sexuality to children. The whole bloody thing is about erasing children's boundaries between adults and children's bodies and between children and adult sexuality. If it was a woman as a sexualized version of herself, they wouldn't be here. There are literally people thinking it's a great act of diversity and inclusion to bring their children to something promoted by this man who's erased women's rights. He's pushed through SB 132. He's put male rapists in women's prisons. He's promoting the idea that if you can't get surgery in your state for your kid, you can come and have them sterilized in California. We can't even say who we are anymore. We can't even say what we are anymore. And in California, it really does seem to promote men's sexual rights above everything else.
My name is Leah Keith, and I'm the founder of Wolf.
Woo!
Wolf is the group that is suing the state of California in federal court on behalf of women in prison. And that's because California, in all its wisdom, decided that men in prison could declare themselves women and get transferred to the women's prison. Hundreds of them have decided they are women, and they want in.
Scott Weiner with this grooming carving session. Who else would like to talk? Yes.
On the first day of school this year, my 10 and 12-year-old sons were asked by 3 separate teachers for their preferred pronouns on getting to know you questionnaires.
Men who parade their kink and their fetish can be safe whilst dressed as witches. It's just too perfect.
Hello everyone, my name is Kat. I'm so excited to be here. I'm a detransitioner, so I once identified as a man. I began taking testosterone to masculinize my body in what I thought was becoming matched with my male gender identity. And I started believing this ideology at age 13. I was very vulnerable. I had an eating disorder. I had ADHD and possibly undiagnosed autism. And I felt very uncomfortable in my body. As soon as I read about gender dysphoria, I thought, that's what I have. That's why I hate my body so much. And that ideology, starting to believe that manhood and womanhood were feelings rather than biological reality, that caused me to suffer for the next 15 years. Because I believed the lies. I believed that if I had gender dysphoria and I didn't transition, that I was likely to commit suicide. I really thought I was hopeless if I continued as a woman. but I was also a professional singer. It took me a long time to decide to transition because my livelihood was also in jeopardy. When I went to testify in front of Senator Weiner about my story, he told me it's not happening. What I told Senator Weiner on that day was that I called Planned Parenthood, and I thought there would be some kind of evaluation process to go through to get my testosterone, start my transition. Instead, I was prescribed within 30 minutes. This was during COVID. I was prescribed over the phone, and I was able to pick up my prescription the same day. They obviously did not look into my medical history. They did not see any of my comorbid mental health conditions, or if they did, they didn't care. And within months, I started suffering from severe health side effects. I also watched several other trans-identified individuals in my life who were close to me start having side effects as well. They started to suffer from worsening mental health issues, worsening physical health issues. So I can't even imagine being 13, reading this stuff online, and then being affirmed by my teachers, my doctors, the President of the United States.
But how just devastating is it that that anybody thinks transitioning kids is not serious, harmful abuse? Anyone defending it, I just don't even understand.
I'm really sorry, but I just can't stand here and let you say these things.
Okay, why do you think sterilising children is okay?
I don't think that people do sterilise children.
Do you think they have their fertility after puberty blockers?
How much experience
Do you think, answer the question, do you think, do they think they have no? Puberty blockers sterilise children.
Go ahead. I think what you're doing is creating a false dichotomy, and kids need to be protected.
Protected from doctors who wanted to cut off their breasts? Or do kids just need protected from knowing that you can't change sex? Do you think that somebody can have a vagina created by a doctor that works?
I do, actually.
You do? Jesus Christ almighty. You genuinely think a vagina can be created that self-lubricates, that doesn't rot inside, that doesn't have necrosis? You think?
Yeah.
And you think that that somebody born assigned male at birth can change into a woman and have babies?
You just haven't read about it. You just haven't
Let her stay innocent. I think it's really hateful to lie to children and vulnerable people like yourself and say that it's possible to change sex. It isn't. Do you think, for the feelings in your head, which would be gender, do you think you should alter your body to suit that? Or do you think maybe, just maybe, it would be advisable to change the way you feel about your body so that you could live in it happily?
You changed the colour of your hair.
Yeah, that's just the same as having a new vagina. Changing the colour of my hair.
It changes how you feel about yourself and how you present.
Yeah, but it's not going to cause necrosis. It's not going to make me infertile by having blonde hair.
Well, it could cause cancer. I mean, all choices have downsides.
Oh my God.
There are young women in this country that have tried to have phalloplasty that urinate from their anus. Right, would anybody else like to come and talk?
It won't hurt you, I promise.
Crazy.
Women can get raped in prison by trans women.
So I'm a mental health professional, one of the few that are speaking out. And I'm speaking to the parents. Please don't trust the expert blindly. Please don't believe their lies that your child is going to kill themselves if you don't affirm. Our profession is captured.
Drag queens are sex clowns. Yes. We have regular clowns. Regular clowns are the kind of clowns that are appropriate for children. There's no reason to have sex clowns for children unless you are trying to groom them. And that is exactly what they are trying to do. Back in 2019, the Netherlands looked at 2,200 trans women who were put on estrogen, and they found that it increased their rate of breast cancer by 46 times. Do you know how expensive it is to treat cancer? I don't know if you guys know. It is incredibly profitable, no matter what the outcome is.
Empowering parents as first educators and primary educators. Like, talk to your kid before someone else talks to them about this.
To fill out this form, and it said, you know, are you heterosexual? Are you bisexual? And he said, I'm trisexual. Basically, if it's sexual, I'll try it. And so teenagers are developing their sense of self, their sense of identity. Many heterosexual teenagers have same-sex experiences, and many gay teenagers have opposite sex experiences.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Kellie?
I just got notification that my donation was refunded to me because Eventbrite says this violates their community standards.
So if you donated on Eventbrite, apparently they also don't support not sterilizing kids. So thank you if you donated, but maybe you'll have to go straight to my platform. We came here to San Francisco because SB 132 puts male rapists in women's prisons. And lots of people here are quite happy to endorse a man who basically promotes the sterilization of children. And the reason... And I don't even think they're bad people. I think they just believe the lie that puberty blockers are reversible. I think they believe the lie that being born in the wrong body is actually a thing. You are your body. You cannot be born in the wrong body. You are your body. We tell people all the time to love the body they're in, except we only seem to be telling people that are morbidly obese or with disabilities. They have to love their disabilities and the bodies that they're born in, but if you think you're a boy and you're a girl, or if you think you're a girl and you're actually a boy, we tell you you should change your body to fit the way you feel.
It's so important that we speak up, that we stand up, that we are counted, that we be brave in defense of reality.
We have no right as medical providers, as practitioners, to be interfering with normal development when there's no demonstrable problem, just to manage the emotional angst of the teenage years.
Came back to my profession in San Mateo, California at a teen group therapy program, and 3 out of 10 kids there were identifying as non-binary. They were all girls. And what was shocking to me was not just what the kids were doing and saying, but what my colleagues were not saying or not doing and not addressing their underlying issues, when every single one had some very obvious underlying issue like trauma.
I asked my mom at one point when I was 14 if I could go see a doctor about my gender dysphoria. At the time, you know, shows like I Am Jazz and Caitlyn Jenner had just come out, and it was all in the media, and I was just this flamboyant little gay boy, and you know, my mom, she kind of pushed back. Are you sure you want this? There's no going back. It's sad to me to think that, you know, my mother's opinion, you know, as a gay, gender nonconforming woman herself, would now be seen as transphobic. You know, it's like I feel like her pushback then saved my life. You know, I don't know how far I would be down the road with medical transition now had she not pushed back. And the younger generation can also see the truth for what it is, and that we're not indoctrinated, and that, you know, humanity is not too far gone into this hole of delusion. Yeah.
The testosterone caused a specific type of vocal damage. You know, it jeopardized my career, and also I had some concerning health side effects. Liver, gallbladder symptoms, heart palpitations, which was also from binding my chest.
To have this, what I call the religious left, come in and devalue parents and even treat them like adversaries is just making vulnerable kids even more vulnerable.
So in California, it's nearly impossible to get politicians to listen to you, at least politicians on the left. I voted Democratic in every single election I was eligible to vote in. This upcoming election is the first time I'm reconsidering that.
I think there's something really interesting that's been displayed by this latest kind of social change, as it were, which I think is an engineered change. And I think we have to start thinking that if gay rights was just about women, would they ever have even happened? Like, would lesbians ever have got anywhere if it wasn't for the benefit of gay men? I'm just wondering if all along it wasn't just about men's rights. And that's why any civil rights movement that contains men as victims is far more likely to succeed than civil rights movements that actually talk about women. With Portland, we know that thousands of Antifa are going to come in from different places. I know that Portland's particularly lawless, and I don't think the police are going to help. So at this moment, my gut feeling is that my kids might still want a mum in a week's time. So we may have to rethink, is it worth anyone losing their life? I don't think so. I just don't think so.